actually standing at the edge of a field right now that was planted to triticale last about October 1st, and then we strip-tilled into it. And in this particular case, since it was corn after corn, we actually put a flat rate of 200 pounds of MAP and 200 pounds of potash. Normally what we would do where we're strip tilling into bean stubble is we would take soil tests through an outside agronomist, and the outside agronomist is set up on modified 2.5 acre grids. So we would lay that 2.5 acre grid over a field like this and then modify those boundaries to accommodate where the soil types change. At one time thought that we would want to put all of our fertility in a strip, both having the ability to both variable rate the MAP and the potash. We're not quite there yet and not totally sold on that's the way we want to go. It's always evolving, and there's a lot of different factors to consider. It's like anything else, it's a system that you need to adopt, and you need to think about how one link is going to affect the other. We always want to put, whether it's through the strip till bar or through the planter, we always want to put a certain amount of our phosphate banded in or near the row, because we want to make sure that there's at least some that's not going to be tied up, that's going to be available for that crop on that particular year. So with the exception of our corn-on-corn ground that we flat rate, everything else is variable rated, and the only reason that we feel comfortable doing a flat rate on the corn after corn is because we've had a soil test just 1 year prior. When we take the soil test, we do look at organic matter. We're happy that in our no-till, strip-till system that our organic matter does seem to steadily climb all the time. And there's different agronomists that'll come out and walk a field that's in corn and be amazed sometimes at how much cover there is between the corn rows, just because of no-tilling beans into it and then strip-tilling ahead of the next time of corn. Also, along with our soil tests, we every fourth soil test we'll go ahead and get a micronutrient analysis just to make sure where we're at. We also, on some of our fields, will utilize hog manure from a neighbor, and that comes into play too, and can bring a lot of great biological activity into the system. Sometimes it's a little bit more cost prohibitive to move it away from where it's been applied for a convenience standpoint for the last 30 years. But in our case, that's where you'll see the most bang for your buck as far as the hog manure making a big difference, and a lasting difference too for a lot of times the next 5 or 6 years. Our nitrogen applications, we do try to spread those out quite a bit. I've never been a fan of fall applied nitrogen. I've never done that in my life. We have done some pre-plant before in the past, but now what we're more concentrating on doing is dividing the spring and summer applications up into multiple applications. So we may get a shot of nitrogen from MAP, or in our corn after corn situations we use ammonium sulfate, usually about mid-March. We apply a combination of 28 and 1034O with our planter. Many times we'll put a zinc and a sulfur package with that, and then we'll come back sometimes after doing a pre-side dress nitrate test and apply the bulk of our nitrogen in crop side dressing with anhydrous ammonia. We split our nitrogen really for two reasons. One would be profitability. Perfect example here where there were a lot of people put on pre-plant anhydrous here within the last 10 days or so, and then a lot of these areas turned around and received 3.5 inches of rain and currently still have standing water. So we want to try to apply it not only where it's going to do us the most good and be the most efficient use of it, but we're going to do it when it's most profitable for us too. And we feel like that a very small seedling, as nitrogen requirements aren't that great, and it kind of runs off of what the seed can provide for the longest time. About the time that starts to run out, then it's more than grown into our 2x2 band that's beside the seed, And then when it's big nitrogen requirements come along, our side dress application is going to take care of that. So you've got an environmental standpoint, and you've got a profitability standpoint kind of driving those decisions.